You know the feeling. You're at the gym, staring at the digital timer, sweating profusely, and feeling like you are running for your life, but getting absolutely nowhere. It is the ultimate modern grind. We pay expensive monthly fees, buy specialized shoes, and carve out hours of our free time to voluntarily exhaust ourselves. But what if I told you that this ubiquitous piece of fitness equipment wasn't invented for your health? It was actually engineered in the 1800s as a brutal instrument of punishment for English prisoners. A device specifically designed to inflict misery, enforce hard labor, and break the human spirit. How did a Victorian torture device become the most popular piece of exercise equipment on the planet? The year is 1818, and the English penal system is in dire straits. Prisoners were spending long hours in complete idleness inside dirty, unsanitary cells. Enter Sir William Cubitt, an English civil engineer who came from a family of millwrights. While observing the inmates at St. Edmund's Jail, Cubitt grew disgusted by their lack of activity. He decided to invent something that would, quite literally, whip these convicts into shape. Cubitt's invention was initially called the treadwheel, or the everlasting staircase. Now, the idea of using human weight to create rotary motion was old. The Romans had used human-powered cranes back in the 1st century. But Cubitt inverted the design. Instead of walking inside a wheel, Cubitt placed a series of wooden steps on the outside of a massive, hollow wooden cylinder. Prisoners had to hold onto a horizontal handrail for stability to keep from falling as their own body weight forced the giant paddle wheel to rotate. Because the wheel was self-propelled. As long as one prisoner kept climbing, the wheel kept moving, forcing everyone else to keep stepping. Penal reformers loved this device. It required no training, and it provided a uniform, measurable amount of hard labor. Best of all, it was productive. The massive gears turned by the prisoners' endless climbing were often used to crush grain, mill corn, or pump water. This is exactly how it earned the name treadmill. However, some prison treadmills were completely disconnected from any useful machinery, leaving the prisoners to suffer through the agonizing labor of simply grinding the wind. This is where the history gets incredibly dark. At Brixton Prison, which housed one of the largest and most notorious treadmills, up to 24 prisoners worked on a single wheel at the same time. The machine quickly earned a terrifying nickname among the inmates, the Shin-Scraper. To make the psychological torment even worse, prisons added wooden partitions between the positions on the wheel. Each prisoner worked in a separate compartment, unable to see the person next to them, staring blankly at the cold brick wall in front of them. They were forced to walk in total silence. The daily routine was nothing short of brutal. Inmates were forced onto the wheel for 6 or more hours a day. They worked in shifts, 15 minutes of agonizing climbing, followed by just 5 minutes of rest before they were forced right back on. During a single day, an average prisoner would climb 8,640 vertical feet. In the most extreme cases, inmates climbed an astonishing 17,000 vertical feet in just 10 hours. For context, that is the equivalent of climbing the Empire State Building 13 times. And they were doing this while consuming incredibly poor diets. A prisoner's daily food intake often consisted of just 1.5 pounds of bread, some potatoes, and a pint of watery gruel. Unsurprisingly, this massive caloric deficit combined with sheer physical exhaustion resulted in horrific physical tolls. Prisoners suffered from hernias, rheumatism, and severe lung damage. Lethal accidents were a constant threat. In 1894, a prisoner named Henry Johnstone suddenly dropped dead on the floor after working the treadmill at Gloucester Jail. Even women were subjected to this nightmarish device. Because of the severe exhaustion, many couldn't maintain the pace. A female convict named Mary Sargent was flogged every time she dropped off the wheel, even after she fell and severely hurt her back. In Jamaica, a prisoner named Jeanette Williams was severely flogged simply because she was sick and fell from the wheel. The treadmill spared no one. When the famous playwright Oscar Wilde was imprisoned at Pentonville, he was subjected to up to 6 hours a day on the treadmill. The prison chaplain noted that the severe toll of the labor quickly left Wilde entirely crushed and broken. Yet the prison administrators loved it. New York prison guard James Hardy praised the device, stating that it was the machine's monotonous steadiness, and not its severity, which constitutes its terror. Fortunately, public opinion eventually shifted. By the late 19th century, the penal treadmill was increasingly viewed as a cruel, inhumane instrument of torture. The British government passed the Prison Act of 1898, which officially led to the abolition of the penal treadwheel. By 1901, the hundreds of treadmills in English prisons had dwindled down to just 13, and shortly after, they were entirely disused. But the treadmill was not dead. It was about to undergo one of the most bizarre pivots in technological history. In 1911, Claude Lorraine Hagen registered a patent for a training machine that featured a flat belt, moving us closer to the modern design. But the true reinvention happened in 1952. Dr. Robert Bruce, a cardiologist at the University of Washington, co-invented the first motorized medical treadmill. Dubbed the father of exercise cardiology, Dr. Bruce hooked patients up to an electrocardiograph machine while they walked on his treadmill. By adjusting the speed and incline, he could monitor and diagnose heart and lung conditions. This life-saving medical test became known as the Bruce Protocol, and it is still widely used by doctors today. The jump from the hospital to your living room happened in the late 1960s. A mechanical engineer named William Staub read a pioneering book called Aerobics. Inspired, Staub invented the Pacemaster 600, the very first mass-produced consumer treadmill designed for home use. When the jogging craze swept the nation in the 1970s, treadmill sales exploded. By the 1990s, the treadmill was forever cemented as the undisputed king of commercial fitness. It is one of the most profound ironies of modern society. A machine that was meticulously engineered in 1818 to punish human beings, to inflict physical agony and break the wills of criminals, is now something we actively seek out. Today, the treadmill is a multi-billion-dollar global industry. We pay premium memberships, buy expensive shoes, and voluntarily submit ourselves to the exact same monotonous steadiness that a Victorian prison guard once called terrifying. So, the next time you hop on the treadmill, staring at the timer and feeling like you are trapped in an everlasting staircase going absolutely nowhere, just remember, you are quite literally walking in the footsteps of 19th century convicts. But hey, at least today, you have the luxury of pressing the stop button whenever you want. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the dark history of the treadmill, please hit that like button. It really helps the channel out. Make sure to subscribe and ring the bell so you never miss our next documentary essay. Now, I pass the question to you. Does the treadmill still feel like a torture device to you? Or is it your favorite way to get cardio? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.